March 8, 2014, midnight. A Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 prepares for takeoff from Kuala Lumpur. Their destination, Beijing. On board, 227 passengers, 12 crew members, 239 lives. A routine flight until it wasn't. At 1:19 a.m., a voice echoed through the radio waves for the last time.
Good night, Malaysia 370.
Moments later, the plane disappeared. Radar screens went dark, no distress call, no warning, only silence. When MH370 vanished, the world reacted in shock. Was it really an accident or hijacking? Search terms scrambled across the South China Sea. Dozens of planes and ships scoured the waves, but they found nothing.
Good evening. There's still no trace of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which went missing yesterday morning with 239 people on board.
And then a breakthrough. Far to the south, a satellite picked up faint signals, pings from the plane, showing MH370 had flown for hours far off course. It was headed into the west, remote Indian Ocean. But why? Why would a plane take such a path so far from help? And where did it go? For over a year, there were no answers.
1 year later, and still nothing. The search team still insists the debris field is here on the ocean floor, a location they say satellite data points to.
Until in 2015, the first clue appeared. A wing fragment washed ashore on the island of Reunion, thousands of miles from where MH370 was last seen. More debris followed, pieces of the plane scattered along the coasts of Africa, carried by the ocean's currents. Proof of a crash, but the wreckage itself still missing.
Autopilot's engaged.
Veteran pilot Rob Johnson activates the Boeing 777's autopilot 20 seconds after takeoff.
Like 99% of the flight is automated.
The autopilot follows waypoints along the flight path. It can even land the plane if necessary. Less than an hour into its flight, MH370 veered off the planned route to Beijing. With the turn of a knob, our simulator makes the same sharp turn as the missing plane.
Could the autopilot have made that turn on its own?
No.
The Indian Ocean is unforgiving, vast, deep, and silent. Somewhere beneath its waves, the remains of MH370 still lie hidden. What brought down MH370? Investigators debated endlessly. Was it catastrophic mechanical failure, a fire, or was it deliberate, a pilot's calculated flight into the darkness? Theories swirled. A hijacking, a systems shutdown, but no theory could answer one question. Why?
We need to find the plane, we need to find the black box in the plane so that we can have a conclusion.
The deep-sea search is expected to resume in 3 weeks using tow sonar equipment and video cameras.
Without the wreckage, the truth remains elusive. Theories offer glimpses, but no certainty. Flight MH370 is the greatest mystery in modern aviation. 10 years later, it still haunts us. Families wait for closure. Search teams hold on to hope. And somewhere in the crushing depths of the Indian Ocean, the answers lie, hidden. The ocean kept its secrets, but for how long? With no black box, no full wreckage, and no survivors, theories about MH370 fill the void left by the facts.
Certainly a punch in the gut for the families of Flight 370, who this whole time had been thinking that there was a promising lead with these possible pings detected in the southern Indian Ocean. This is the area the Bluefin 21 has been spending hours and days searching. It's a stunning about-face and certainly a big change from the cautious optimism that you and I saw in Western Australia, Kate, when searchers at one point thought they might just be days from finding this wreckage.
The first theory points to Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, the seasoned pilot of MH370. A respected aviator with over 18,000 hours of flight experience, Zahari was trusted, but investigations uncovered unsettling details about his personal life.
If Captain Zahari was intent on committing suicide, why would he fly the plane for another 6 hours?
To make it disappear. Simple as that. He was taking it to a predestination, someplace that he had planned to take it, and he flew that 6 hours to get it there.
Without any shadow of a doubt, this was controlled by a professional pilot who knew a 777, and he also knows the airspace around this area.
In the months leading up to the flight, Zahari's personal struggles became apparent. Reports suggested a fractured family life, isolation, and signs of emotional distress. On his home flight simulator, investigators found data resembling the suspected flight path of MH370, a route that led into the desolation of the Indian Ocean.
But it's the flying he did at home that raised the alarm. 7 days after MH370's disappearance, Malaysian police found his flight simulator. That's it in the background. On it, investigators found practice flights to the southern Indian Ocean.
Critics argue there is no conclusive evidence Zahari intended harm, but others see the meticulous execution, the disabling of communication system, the calculated flight path as a deliberate act by someone in command. To this day, Zahari's family defends his honor, calling these claims baseless. Yet the theory persists, leaving an indelible mark on his legacy.
I heard the news from a friend. She called me and told me there was a plane that disappeared, but she had no idea who the pilot was. And while we were talking, my brother called me from Ipoh and told me Zahari was the pilot.
The second theory evokes fear of a different kind, a terrorist plot to bring down MH370. Early investigations revealed 2 passengers on board with stolen passports. While they were later identified as asylum seekers, the discovery sparked global suspicion. Could this plane have been seized by a group with a dark agenda?
That there is no evidence so far pointing to terrorism. Intelligence officials say there have been no credible claims of responsibility from any terror group. And so-called intel chatter has revealed nothing to date pointing to an attack on that flight.
Despite extensive investigations, no terrorist group ever claimed responsibility for MH370, and no evidence emerged tying the flight to a terror plot. But in the absence of answers, suspicion remains.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing. At this hour, a desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370, which departed Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m. local time and was due to land in Beijing at 6:30 a.m.
The mystery of MH370 is a puzzle missing too many pieces. Was it the calculated decision of a pilot battling personal demons, or the shadowy act of unseen hijackers? Both theories attempt to explain the unthinkable, but neither offers certainty. And without answers, we are left with only theories, whispers of what might have happened, and the haunting question: will we ever know?